Story time about when I messed up by not telling my wife that our son was coming home. My oldest son is in the Marines and hasn't been home in almost a year. He took 10 days leave so he could come visit. At first, we didn't tell his mother in case the leave got denied. When it was approved, he just decided to fly in and surprise her. I tell my wife that I'm going over to a friend's house to watch the Packers/Falcons game as a cover-up to pick him up. I get to the airport and actually watch the second quarter of the game while waiting for his plane. He gets off the plane, we talk for a bit, waiting for the luggage, and then he goes to change into his dress blues. Now the whole time I've been texting my wife saying I was bored, the game sucked, I wasn't going to stay much longer. We discussed the plan on how to surprise his mother on the drive back to the house. We go back and forth from having her open the front door to see him on the porch to just having him walk into the house. We settle on him waiting a few minutes after I go inside as I wanted to get the whole thing on video. I walk in and the house is quiet. No one is in the living room. A little odd, but it is after 9 p.m. Maybe by some miracle my other kids are actually already in bed. Alarm bells start going off in my head when I open the bedroom door and the first thing I notice is the flickering candlelight. What I didn't know was the entire time that I was gone, my wife set in motion her own plan for the evening. She got the kids settled by letting them keep their tablets after bedtime, took a nice hot bath, redid her makeup, and when I told her I was on the way home, lit the room with candles and put on her F me lingerie. So no shit, there I was, staring at my wife giving me her best come hither look with our 21-year-old son outside not 30 feet away, waiting to surprise her. A handful of reactions to this scene are acceptable. Pulling out your cell phone and sending a text message is not one. The text told my son to stay outside. I had solved the most immediate problem of our son walking in and seeing his mother like that, but I was drawing blank on how to fix everything else. So my brain latched onto what was the most stupid plan I have ever had in my life. I told my wife to get dressed because she would never believe what the neighbors were doing and she had to come see. The look of confusion on her face was priceless. It took me 5 minutes to convince her to put on some sweatpants and a sweatshirt to go to the front door. Finally, after dodging all her questions and getting her to open the door, there was our son in his dress uniform and she was ecstatic. The noise brought all the kids out and everyone was happy. Except me. The wife excused herself after a few minutes and took off the laundry under her sweats before anyone noticed. It goes without saying, I did not get any action that night.
Am I the asshole for agreeing to have my family visit for a week after my wife gives birth? My wife and I are expecting and she's due this month and things have been intense recently with her being extra hormonal. We live in a different state than my family and we couldn't visit for Christmas. Now my family is demanding we make it up to them. They suggested they come stay with us for a week once the baby's born. I thought it was a good suggestion. It's been months since we've seen each other, so I told them to go ahead and make the invitation official. Well, this morning my wife was talking about her plans once the baby's here, and then I remembered my conversation. I told her I agreed to let my family stay for a week once the baby's born to make up for the holiday we missed with them. She first looked shocked and then she freaked out at me saying I shouldn't have just invited them like that. I asked why not since she loves them and loves being around them, but she explained that my family can be a lot of work and having them as guests while caretaking for a newborn is the last thing she wanted. I said it was no big deal, plus we could use the help if she thought about it this way. She lashed out and said how the first few days of the baby's life is essential for bonding and being intimate. I argued that she was being melodramatic right there because my family are decent and I'm sure they'll make the experience warmer. She said if my family were decent, they wouldn't have accepted the invitation. I clarified that I did not invite them and this was in fact a suggestion made by them and I just agreed after they complained. She's demanding that I cancel. Am I the asshole for telling my new coworker it was misleading of him to be wearing his wedding band when he's a widower? A couple weeks ago, we had a new employee hired at the company. He's a good guy and a widower named James, 36, and to my knowledge, his late wife passed away 8 months ago. Me and the other coworkers get along well with him, however, I noticed he's still wearing his wedding band on his finger. It confused me and I couldn't help but bring it up with him while on lunch. I pointed out that he was being misleading by still wearing his wedding band when he's a widower. He looked bothered by what I said, but I tried to explain that I think that it's giving the wrong idea or impression, since he's technically single and on his own right now. James said that he didn't give it much thought and that he didn't care what people thought. He said that even if he wasn't wearing his wedding band and some woman approached him, he'd still turn them down because he's obviously not interested. Things got awkward and everyone stopped eating and just stared at James and me. I told him I don't know, but that felt really misleading of him. As in making people think he's in a relationship and married when he's not, regardless of how he feels about being in a relationship. He got upset, called me rude, and said that I repeatedly disrespected his marriage and his late wife's memory with what I said. He took his stuff and got away, and my coworker said regardless of who's right or wrong, there was no reason for me to bring this up. Now he's not speaking to me and a few coworkers.
Story time about when I demanded my girlfriend show me where she buried our beans in the woods, causing her to break up with me. With everything that was going on, we stocked up on supplies, including some canned goods. I ordered a few weeks ago 30 cans of beans. 10 are black beans, 10 are kidney beans, and 10 are pink beans. Also, I ordered 15 cans of chickpeas. I thought this is a reasonable amount of beans and chickpeas to have every now and then that would last for quite some time. However, earlier this week I opened the cabinet because I wanted to make vegetarian chili using 2 cans of beans, but all the beans were gone. What the hell? I asked my girlfriend and she told me that she buried all of the beans in the woods. At first I thought she was joking, but she explained, no, know she had buried the beans in the woods. What the fuck? I asked her to explain and she told me that she was afraid that if things get bad, we might have to worry about looters or whatever and that the beans would be in danger of being stolen. I said I thought this was completely ridiculous and unlikely. She became angry at me and said that she's protecting our beans. According to her logic, the beans are safely buried in the woods behind our apartment complex, and if we ever need some beans, she will go to the stash and dig up a can or two, but would prefer if we save them all for if things get worse. I said, why only bury the beans? Why not bury our more valuable items? She said that canned food was the most valuable in long-term needs, and that since we get fresh food in our online grocery deliveries, it would make sense to continue to stockpile beans. She intends to go bury more beans in the woods every week. This was too insane for me and I got very upset. I demanded to know where the beans were buried, and she refused to tell me. She said if I knew, she was afraid I'd dig them up. I said, damn right I would. She said, I will never jeopardize the beans. The following day, I tried to put my foot down, and I'm not usually a foot downer, but there are rare issues where compromise is out of the question, and I foolishly decided that this was one of those issues. I demanded to know where the beans were buried, and I told her that if she was going to bury beans that I paid for in the woods, that I would move out. We fought about it, and I kept insisting. In hindsight, I should have just let it go and created my own hidden stash of beans in the apartment and given her time to maybe cool down about this bean burying scenario, but I blew it all out of proportion. Yeah, it's weird to bury beans in the woods, but why did I have to press it? What's the harm at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things? But I kept demanding her to take me to the beans, or at least draw a map or something, and finally she broke up with me over beans. I've lost the love of my life because I couldn't let the damn beans go. I am in disbelief. She moved out. Not only am I heartbroken, but now I'm paying full rent instead of 50%, which is a huge financial issue for me.
I literally cannot believe I did this. Like, I'm literally gonna get in so much trouble, it's not even funny. So basically, this was the first day this year it has ever snowed in my state. And also, I got my driver's license this year, meaning I've never driven in the snow before because I just got my license earlier this year, and this is the first time it's snowing. So I don't know how to drive in the snow. And also, there was no salt on the road. And if you don't know what that is, basically when it's snowy out, they put salt on the road so that, like, the road isn't, like, slick and slippery. Well, my dad told me specifically to not go out and drive my car because the roads are slick and it's dangerous. Now, did I listen? No, because I didn't get my Starbucks yet. And I was like, no, like, I need my Starbucks. Like, I don't care that I don't know how to drive in the snow and the roads are slippery and I'm probably gonna crash my car. Spoiler alert, I did. I want Starbucks because that's more important than my life. I'm just so quirky. So I text my friend right after my dad told me not to go out. And I'm like, do you want to go get Starbucks? She's like, yes. I'm like, okay, bet. So I'm pulling out of my neighborhood to go pick her up. My car is already, like, sliding over the road. Like, my car is, like, swerving everywhere because I don't have traction. I don't have traction to the road. And if you don't know what that means, traction is basically, like, your wheels do not stick to the road. They are just drifting around. So I'm like, okay, cool. I come up to a stop sign. I go to stop. My car doesn't stop. My car just keeps going through the stop sign. I'm so lucky there were no other cars there. So I pull up to my friend's house, I pick her up, we pull up to Starbucks, we only drifted off the road maybe once, drinks, whatever, we're fine. So I'm leaving Starbucks on my way to drop my friend off back at home. And where my Starbucks is you have to cross a very busy, like, highway. It's technically a highway. You have to technically cross a highway to get back to where I live. It's very confusing, but whatever. Just know I had to cross a very busy road, meaning that I had to go very fast. And like I said, I don't know how to drive in snow. I don't know that you're supposed to go slow in the snow. That rhymes. So I'm going to turn left on this very fast road, so I'm, like, waiting for traffic to clear up. Finally, there's only one car on the road, and I'm like, I have enough time to make it in front of them. I slam on my gas, and all of a sudden, my car starts blinking light, and it shows that I lost traction on the road, and my car slides. I can't step on the gas. My gas is not working. My car is just gliding across the road. I'm freaking out because I drive an SUV. That means that this car can flip over at any moment. SUVs have a very high rollover risk, especially mine. So me and my friend are screaming at the top of our lungs, and all of a sudden my car slides into, like, a grass patch all the way across the road. I'm literally in the grass, like, in the wood. Car had slid into the wood. I'm praying to God that my car is fine, I'm fine. And because my car is a Nissan Rogue, meaning that it's meant for off-roading, I did not get stuck in the grass. My car made it through the grass. I was fine. But I'm never driving again in the snow. I'm literally, like, I'm not joking. Like, I'm not driving ever again in the snow. I literally almost crashed, and that was scary.
Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that her daughter is like her father? My brother has been in prison for well over a decade, serving life. When he went in, he left behind his pregnant girlfriend, Anna. But she moved away before she gave birth to their daughter, and we fell out of touch. Anna was a medical student at the time, and is now a doctor. Their daughter, Lucy, is 19, and Anna's just started to reconnect with our side of the family. Lucy has started writing to her father in prison, and Anna has been emailing with me. I invited them to come and stay with us for Christmas. It was a mistake. When I first met Lucy, I thought she was lovely. She was really polite and friendly, and also ambitious for her future. She's studying economics at a top university and doing very well. We let Lucy hang out with Chloe, my 14-year-old. We thought she'd be a good influence, someone to aspire to be like. Eventually, the topic of Christmas presents came up. We got Chloe some clothes, but Lucy then rubbed in the more expensive clothes she got for Christmas, and then said she would be embarrassed to be seen dressed like that in public. Chloe was crying and I was raging. What the hell is wrong with a 19-year-old who bullies a 14-year-old? I told Lucy her words were inappropriate, and she laughed and replied it's the truth, and that she has to learn eventually. I told Anna it would be best if she and her daughter left. Anna said that Lucy hadn't done anything wrong, and that Chloe was being sensitive. I responded back that Lucy obviously takes after her dad in personality. This really upset Anna, who left with Lucy. My husband thinks comparing Lucy to my brother was too far, but her behavior is exactly the sort of thing my brother would do when he was younger. He was abnormal even as a young child, and was cruel to younger children and animals. I've had my parents, but they've also reconnected me, only asking why their granddaughter is crying, because I said she was like her father. I'm sorry, but if she's going to bully younger kids, I'll call out her disgusting behavior.
That you find your way. It's in the morning.
Hi guys, thank you for watching. I love you guys so much. Please like and subscribe to see more great videos. See you again.